Welcome back to the Magnolia Shine podcast. I'm your host, Trellis Williams, alongside the one and only Blake Levine. We appreciate you joining us. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button to the Magnolia Shine podcast. We keep on moving on up here with the Magnolia Shine podcast, and we appreciate our sponsors. First, I want to thank Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration. If you have any leaks, any roof repairs that are needed, any damage, this is quality you can depend on. That is Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration. We really appreciate them, but we also appreciate Austin Graham, the insurance guy with Farm Bureau. Whether you need life, home, or auto, Austin Graham is your guy. And listen, he supports us on this podcast as well. So we can't do it without our sponsors. We appreciate both of them. Folks, we're about to be getting started with talking about 4A through 1A, and then we'll get to some Egg Bowl picks later in the show. But Blake, what's on your mind, man?
Yeah, as great as the 7A through 5A playoff games are, I could make the argument that 1A through 4A, even though they're smaller schools, could have some of the bigger matchups. I mean, this is what North
Yeah,
and South state championships are all about, right? I mean, you're in the semifinals. There really shouldn't be many blowouts. I mean, there may be a couple just because a team, puts it on and has a great week. But for the most part, these should all be close games, and everyone should be in it.
yeah. So look, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to start off with a little bit of 4A action. Start off in the north with Louisville and Kosciuszko. We're going to see that's a big showdown right there. Kosciuszko with a 12-1 record, Louisville with a 10-2 record. These two teams played earlier in the season, and it was a 29-24 win for Louisville. And Blake, we kind of alluded to this a little bit yesterday, just talking about how when two teams play each other and they're two really good teams, it's hard to beat a team twice. So, what's your take on this, Blake?
Yeah, obviously I've been on Facebook. A lot of people have been laughing because I picked Kosciuszko to win this game. I'm going to
Yeah,
take the hey two good teams are playing. One team won the first matchup. The other team's going to win the playoff matchup. The same way that we just saw Poplarville Macomb in 4A in the South play again in the playoffs. I think Kosciuszko, has some of the best speed there is in the state. Regardless of classification. I mean, that's what I've really liked about this team. And if you remember, I was picking them really early in the season, telling you, hey, Kosciuszko, they're really good. They got a really good running back. I love their quarterback. And, they're going to be really good next year, too. I mean, it's not just a this year thing. They're going to be good next year. When it comes to
yeah.
Louisville, while the defense is good, it doesn't feel as great as maybe it's been in years past, which I feel like Kosciuszko is going to be able to get possibly into the 30s. And you got to remember, Louisville's been in a lot of close games this year, and they've been able to pull them out late. So I guess if it is close, I mean, it's hard to pick against Louisville because they've won a lot of close games this year.
Yeah.
But they were down to Clarksdale 16-14 before they hit their stride, and then they win. And Louisville's got one of the best coaches in the state. I mean, Tyrone Shorter, you can't knock that. I mean, he's going to have them ready to play. But I am taking Kosciuszko. I just think that their speed is going to be able to be the difference.
Well, see, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I'm going with Louisville here. I think just like you were saying, Louisville very good in close games, very good at winning close games, and we have to remember this too. If we step back and think about this full season, if you think about West Point season, they've won every game. They had a 7 point win against Tupelo, who's unbelievably good, and then they have a 2 point win against Louisville, 9-7. And I know that was the first game of the season, and sometimes you kind of got to get those butterflies out. I'm not saying it would be that close now, but I don't know. I don't know. Louisville's one of those teams that they can win any given game, and I think that they are the ones in this situation to get this win. Now, they weren't champions last year. They were in the championship game. I think they returned there. I think they win the North State Championship here against Kosciuszko. Nothing against Kosciuszko, though, because the Whippets have been very good. Their only loss of the season was to Louisville the first time by 5, and they're not going to be happy if they lose again to Louisville. But I think that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and the reason that stuff happens sometimes when two good teams, it's hard to beat them a second time is usually the team that wins has less adjustments The team that loses has to make all the adjustments, right? Because now that they're playing, and there is a level of a mindset. But I think Louisville will be ready. I wouldn't be surprised if the Wildcats won. I mean, how can you be surprised anytime Louisville wins any football game, especially in the
Yeah.
playoffs? I'm just rolling with Kosciuszko. I think there's going to be one or two upsets in the semifinals, and this is one of them that I'm taking.
All right, well that'll be an interesting one. I'm very excited about seeing that one because you got Louisville and Kosciuszko, two teams that have already played each other, and two teams that have had such good seasons, and it's just a shame that one of them has to come to an end. And this is one of those
Yeah, I
matchups.
mean, but
But
hey,
listen,
that's why there's one champion per classification and not multiple.
that's right, and that's also. I mean, look, we're talking about the North State Championship. Every team we talk about today is doing really well, folks. And so that's what's so cool about this time of year. So the other 4A matchup, which is in the South State Championship, is going to be Poplarville and Columbia. And look, we talked about this last week. Poplarville beat Macomb 55-20. I mean, wow, Blake. I mean, like, I picked Macomb to win that one. And Macomb had beaten Poplarville the first time, but then Poplarville just absolutely beat the mess out of them, 55-20. So the Hornets are looking good right now. They're the defending 4A state champions, but they're going to be taking on the 13-0 Columbia Wildcats, who have righted the ship, it seems, as they got a 41-6 win over Pass Christian, a team that was 11-1 going into the game. And they didn't look very good in that game a couple of weeks ago, but this past week, beating Pass Christian that bad. Wow. I mean, both these teams are looking pretty good right now, Blake.
Yeah, for me, I think Columbia, although if you ask Coach Bilderback, he did not want to be in that situation against Newton County where you're fourth and whatever, and they're having to score a touchdown on what, was their last offensive play. You
That's
never
right.
want to be in that situation, but to be honest with you, it's going to be a part of what makes their season so special and why they were able to reset. When you're 11-0 and you maybe weren't taking teams as seriously as you should, well, they're taking every team seriously now, especially after a game like that. Now, they smacked up Poplarville in the regular season. I think this is going to be a close game, but I am rolling with Columbia to win a second straight time. However, what makes Poplarville so good in the playoffs here recently is, let's say you give Ty Keys, 25 carries in a regular season game. Well, he may get 30, 35 carries in a playoff game, right? Because at this point,
Yeah.
it's the end of the season. You got to unload and you got to go to your best, and you got to be able to do that. I'm going to go with Columbia. I think they're going to be able to stop the run enough, and then they're going to put up points themselves, and they're going to be able to score 40 themselves. So Poplarville is going to have to score almost every single time they touch the ball. So I like Columbia here, and as much as I want to go with the team that lost in the regular season, and I've been doing that a lot in this playoffs, and I've started to notice that's a trend. I'm not going to do it here.
Yeah, and I wouldn't either. I'm going to pick Columbia as well. I do think Columbia, I think that scare that they had just a couple of weeks ago, I think that righted the ship for them. And I think talent-wise, I think they are stacked. And coaching wise, they are stacked. I mean, they got a great coach and they got a lot of talent. And so I think that having that one lull will kind of get them right. I think they'll beat Poplarville. I'm going to agree with you on this as well. I do think it's going to be a relatively close game. Not a super close game. I think it'll be 2 touchdowns, but I don't think it's going to be a big time blowout here. But I do think
Well,
Columbia
two
gets the win.
touchdowns, two touchdowns is a lot of that's a lot of points there, Trellis.
Yeah, but if you beat them like 42-28 or something like that, I wouldn't call that just an absolute beatdown. I mean, listen, Poplarville beat Macomb by 5 touchdowns. I would consider that to be like a beatdown. I mean, that's a beatdown. I don't think it's going to be to those kind of proportions here.
I'll tell you what, though. 3 of the 4 teams left, their head coach has won a state title in 4A. Shorter, Bilderback, and Beach.
Wow. That's
So
pretty.
Kosciuszko's coach is the only one that has not been a head coach that has won in 4A.
Yeah, so you have a lot of championship experience here, but here's the thing though. Listen, I'm not picking Kosciuszko, but there's a first for everything. At some point in time, it'd be the first one. So Kosciuszko can get their thing started by getting the win this year. We'll have to see. They definitely have the team for it. They've only lost once, and that was they barely lost to Louisville the first time. I wouldn't be surprised if the Whippets won that one. I wouldn't even be completely shocked if Poplarville beat Columbia. I'd be a little bit more
Hey, hey,
surprised
hey!
probably,
If
but
that if that running back goes for 300 yards, what are you going to do? I mean, he's just every week you see
yeah,
these numbers and you're like, whoa. And if Poplarville does get to the championship, there's a possibility that Keys could put up some historic numbers in this state. So it'll be interesting.
for sure. So that's our 4A North and State title picks here. Getting over to 3A. All right, so we got the North, and in the North we have uh, we have Noxubee and Winona. All right, so Noxubee and Winona, man, this will be a good one here because listen, the thing with Noxubee is that that's my champion, and Winona's been very good this year. They're 9-4. Noxubee is 10-3. Noxubee barely beat Choctaw County in the rematch of last year's championship game, 34-33. So that one, it was good in the championship game last year, and it was good in the playoffs this year. So I mean, listen, they're gonna be ready to go after that close win. Winona wins by a good bit over Aberdeen, 42-20, and I'm gonna take Noxubee in this one. But I know Winona's a pretty hot team. I'm kind of interested to see what you're gonna take, Blake.
And Winona, if I'm not correct, beat him in the regular season. So
Yeah, yeah, I do believe so. I do believe so. So,
yeah,
like, hey,
look, I think
what's your take on
Noxubee's gonna.
this one?
I think Noxubee's gonna win this game. We talked about our championship picks, and although I have Raleigh winning it, I think it's gonna be a rematch. Well, I guess we'll get to the Raleigh pick in a second. But when it comes to this game, again, we go back to it's hard to beat a really good team twice. And Winona obviously won that district, right? Winona's had a great season. They won the games they're supposed to win. It's hard for me, I guess I didn't take, I'm kind of going contradicting myself, because I didn't take Louisville, but it's hard for me to not to go against Noxubee in the playoffs. I mean, Noxubee has spent, years and years in the championship game. And yes, they feel like they should have more championships because they've lost a lot of championship games. However, I think they've made a living of at least winning the North in whatever classification that they are in. And I think that they do it again.
So we both have Noxubee winning this one, but this will be interesting here. They'll have a big challenge with Winona though. I mean, they've had a very good season,
Look,
been very competitive.
it just continued when I said to you, we're making picks, but these are close to coin flips.
Yeah, especially once we get to this level. I mean, once you get to the North State, South State, I mean, all these teams are very good, and they're all championship. They're all in championship contention. So, looking at the South for 3A, we're seeing Raleigh and Seminary, which is actually very interesting here because Seminary, what a nice run they're making. 8-5 on the year for them, and then they nearly knocked off Raleigh late in the regular season. So,
Hmm.
so this will be something that'll be interesting to see. Raleigh and Seminary. Blake. I really want to take Seminary here. I really do.
Then do it.
Um,
Then do it.
I think I'm gonna go ahead. I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger on this one. I think I'm gonna pick Seminary here. And here's the thing: they had a real close game. I'm going with your principle, Blake. Of course, I know you're not gonna. You're picking Raleigh because that's your champion. And Raleigh's a great team, but Raleigh beat Seminary last time. But this could also go in the way that Raleigh's just more alerted to Seminary, and they're just more, and so they're ready. They're ready, and they know Seminary's good. Uh, but listen, it's the South State Championship game. I think Seminary might pull it out and find themselves playing Noxubee, even though I had picked Raleigh to be in the championship game to begin with. I'm going to take Seminary this time.
No, good for you because Seminary. What makes them a tough matchup is Seminary's defense is elite. I mean, Seminary has a great defense. I mean, they keep every game close, whether they win or they lose. They're going to be
Yeah,
intact because their defense is going to hold up. And for Raleigh, while they have a really good defense, Seminary was able to keep them in that game, keep themselves in that game, and Seminary feels like they should have won. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. I hate when people say we should have won, so I'm going to correct myself there. It's not we should have won, we could have won. Should implies that it was taken from you. And to be honest with you, it's never taken from you. Stop blaming refs. But anyways, I'm going to take Raleigh here because I just think that Raleigh has hit their stride even more than they were regular season. Yes, they're on a long winning streak and they've done everything they're supposed. I actually think they're playing better now than they were earlier in this long winning streak. I think they've been running the ball really well. I think their defense has gotten a little bit better. I think Raleigh actually could win this game by 2 scores. We talk about a 2-score matchup. I think Raleigh's really got this one up locked, and then we'll see who they match up with in the championship, at least in my opinion, and see what we got here. But look, Seminary's defense could hold themselves in that game, and if they can just be within a score late in that fourth quarter, Seminary feels like they got that shot.
Yeah, so we'll see. Listen, Raleigh Seminary. That's one that I picked Seminary, picked the upset there. You got Raleigh winning that one, and so we'll head over to 2A, and we'll start off in the north, okay? And in the north, you got Kemper County, which what a story that's been. They're 7-6 on the year, but they find themselves in the North State Championship game, and they take on East Webster. All right. And Blake, look, man, I know that I might be just late to the party here, and then I might miss, but I'm taking Kemper County. All right, I didn't pick them the last.
Okay.
I didn't pick them the last 2 weeks. Okay,
Wow.
but I'm gonna pick them this time, and I know that that's a big one
And-
because East Webster's just been dominating their opponents. Now they won 61-40. But they could put up a lot of points, so I know that. And that's the thing that Kemper County's been doing, is that they've been putting up a lot of points. But if you can't stop them, it's going to be tough. But look, I'm going with who's got the best player here. I'm going with Yates in Kemper County on this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I look, I give you all the credit in the world taking Kemper County, but I don't see a scenario where East Webster's losing this game. I think East Webster has a solid defense, although Charleston did put it on them. You can't take that away from Charleston. Charleston really scored in that game, but we're talking about East Webster that's been averaging like 45 to 55 points. I don't know the exact, but over the last 10 games or so, they have just been putting it on. And prior to the Charleston game, funny enough, they had 5 straight shutouts. So I don't know. I mean, Charleston again has a 3-star running back, and you know what? Charleston had a 3-star running back who went off, and they scored 41 points. All of a sudden, you stick a 4-star running back in there. Can Kemper County put up 40 plus points? But I still think East Webster is going to be able to score themselves. I think East Webster wins by a score, but I think it's a comfortable win by a score where maybe they're up 2 scores late and Kemper scores late, and then it looks a little bit better than maybe what it was. But I'm rolling with East Webster.
Okay, yeah, and I think your points are pretty valid, and I know that this is an upset pick because, and another thing too, I guess I might be just straight up talking myself out of this, but
Well, no, but
Trellis,
there's 14 games. There's 14 games, right?
That's right.
Okay, there's going to be 2 to 3 upsets. We're just trying to figure out where they are.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the thing
right?
is,
So I don't think it's a weird pick. I don't think any of these are weird picks for you. Maybe the only one that I think the only one that I don't think could happen is Holmes County and West Point. Otherwise, I think the other 13 games, everyone's got to play. Everyone's got to bring some level of a B or an A game.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're just being straight up, I also think the next game that we're going to talk about falls into that category when we're talking about.
You know what? You're right. You're right. Yeah.
But hey, look. For Mize, so let's just go ahead and talk about Mize for a second.
Mize, real quick. Someone commented on my thing that I hate Mize, and I'm like, what in the world? Like, first off, I don't hate any school. I don't know where people get this stuff, like, that I hate these things. Like, first off, I'm not hating an educational institution. Like, what in the world? Like, I'm not going to hate anyone. No, I don't even hate the fans. First off, Mize has had a great season. Mize has now gone as far as possible. They get to walk away after losing to Heidelberg this Friday. And you know what they get to say to themselves? We had the best season possible that we personally could have. And you know what? What more can you ask for? You don't win the state championship, and yes, everyone wants to win the state championship. But they get to walk away saying to themselves, we won every round that we could have. And you know what? You got to feel really good about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And I got to say, looking at Mize's resume, if you didn't have a juggernaut in 2A like Heidelberg, let's say 2A had a little bit more parity here. You know what I mean? Where the
Mize could win. Yes, Mize. I mean, look, Mize beat everyone in the South other than Heidelberg.
That's right. They beat Wesson, which Wesson was like, other than Heidelberg,
undefeated.
They were undefeated. And then They played East Marion on the road and like handled them, completely shut them down, 24-6 win.
Mize has had one of the sneakiest best seasons of any of the small schools. There's no doubt. I mean, Mize has had a really good season, and we got to give them full credit.
Yeah, for sure. So I would 100% agree with what you
They're
just
just.
said.
I mean, do you have the
Yeah,
score of their game during the regular season?
I do not. But oh no, I think I might even remember that.
What
But
isn't it
I
like
don't.
60-7 or something like that?
Yeah, 62-7, I do believe. So
Look, we could be a little off, but either way, it was a large amount to a little amount.
that's right. That's right. So that's not one of those where it's like, oh man, it's hard to beat them twice. It's like, well, if you beat them 62-7, even if you don't do as well, you still might be able to beat them by 35 or something. So anyway,
If Mize
Heidelberg
can
is.
hold, if Mize can put this in the teens, I'll shout them out. I'll shout them out on Saturday morning, being like, "Look, this is the best small school performance against Heidelberg in like 2 years."
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Oilers are just they're just a buzzsaw. So we both have
Buzzsaw.
Heidelberg there. Um, but yeah, so listen, we're gonna move over to 1A here, and 1A should be kind of interesting. 1A is kind of like there's a lot of coin flips going on in 1A, and so we got up north, we're gonna have Biggersville taking on Calhoun City, which will be interesting. And Blake, we might be opposite on both of these. I don't know what your south pick's gonna be, but I think I know what your north pick's gonna be. And of course, in the north, I've got Biggersville beating Calhoun City. I've got Biggersville making it to the championship game. They have Mr. 1A there at Biggersville. And they've been doing well. They beat Oklahoma last week 29-12. And I think that they get this win over Calhoun City. Now I know Calhoun City is a very good team. They're 11-1 on the year. I think this will be a very good game. I think Biggersville gets the win though.
Yeah, we are going opposite here. I picked Calhoun City.
Yeah.
As the season kind of moved along, preseason I thought, Lumberton was going to have a better team than they did, but once the season started, Calhoun City has obviously proven to be the best, for 1A. In my opinion, I mean, look, Biggersville could win this game anytime you have Mr. 1A and he's got 37 touchdowns and 15 rushing touchdowns and almost 4,000 yards combined. It's hard to go against, but I'm gonna roll with Calhoun City and their running back and just what they got.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you got Calhoun City. I've got Biggersville for that one. Now, as we look to the south, we see Simmons taking on Taylorsville. And man, so Blake, this is the thing, is that I really like Taylorsville here, but I'm taking Simmons because Simmons is undefeated and I have them as my champion. And and I've liked what I've seen from Simmons. Simmons has backed up their record. They've been undefeated all year, and in the playoffs, they've been able to back it up, getting that 20-8 win over Nanawaya. And I know you had Nanawaya in that one, and they had a really good season leading up to that point, falling 20-8 to Simmons. I got Simmons beating Taylorsville, but Taylorsville's been very hot as of late. So it'll be an interesting one to watch, but I got Simmons.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Taylorsville here. I think I've picked
Okay.
against Simmons, last week, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. They really proved me wrong there. But Taylorsville is on a 9 or 10 game winning streak, and they started like 0-4 or whatever it was. And look, they play a tough schedule preseason for a reason, and now since they've been playing 1A schools and schools their size, they have absolutely throttled most of these schools. And I think Taylorsville is as hot as of a team in any level right now.
Yeah, now, listen, I had to pause before I made this pick, but I'm going to stick with my champions that I said before the playoffs. So I'm going to be consistent here. That's how I'm picking Simmons. But the thing is that they're undefeated and they're still moving. But man, Taylorsville, not only are they on a 9-game winning streak, I mean, they beat Leake County 36-0. They won 36-0 to get to this game. So Taylorsville looks really good right now. So that will be interesting. So those are all of our picks, folks. And look, we both went 23-5 last week. We each went 23-5. Blake, you're doing real well overall. I'm gonna have to count those up, but it'll be on the screen right now. But listen, we're both doing well, but we'll see how it goes this time. I don't know. It could go bad for me now that I'm picking a bunch of upsets, but we'll see, man. When I'm right that one time, I'm
No,
gonna be happy about it.
or you could just have your money week, or you could just have your money week.
I could. But folks, look, we're gonna hop into picks for the big college game here in the state of Mississippi, folks, and you know it. It's Mississippi State and Ole Miss, and comes every year, and you know it happens, right? All right, so Ole Miss, Mississippi State in Starkville. Blake, take it away on your thoughts.
If Mississippi State was going to end an Ole Miss season, it's going to be right here. I mean, the turmoil around Ole Miss has just been disgusting. You know, I wish Lane Kiffin would either stay or announce that he's leaving and coach this final game. But I guess I get why he hasn't done it. You know, it's part of the process, and I hope for the sake of Ole Miss fans and the sake of their players that they play hard and they finish the season out as hard as they can, and whether he's the coach or not, you get yourself into the playoffs, and then you roll the dice with an interim head coach if he leaves. So we'll see what happens there. For Mississippi State, if they're going to start Blake Shapen, they're going to get the Blake Shapen results, which is some good, a lot of bad. And we'll have a game that I think will be closer than most expect. It's a 7.5 point line on a neutral field. It means Ole Miss would be favored around 10.5. I think Ole Miss probably wins by 8, but it's a lot closer than people think. I think Mississippi State has shown an ability in big time games against some big time opponents, not recently, but throughout the season, whether it's Texas or Tennessee, to play up to some of these opponents that they really get up for. So I think they'll compete, they'll be into it, and a lot of these kids have played each other in high school, and it's always a fun time. However, I think Ole Miss pulls it out, and it's a slightly closer game than maybe some expect, but they get the win. They finish the season 11-1, and they go to the college football playoff. We'll see if Lane Kiffin's the head coach, but they'll be hosting a playoff game.
All right. So listen. So Blake, the way I look at it here, I think what's going to happen is I think we're going to have the game here on Friday. I think Mississippi State's going to come out rocking. I think they're going to start off real hot, and I think they're going to take a decent lead. But I think Ole Miss is going to storm back, and I think it's going to be close at the end. I think the Dogs pull it out. I think the Dogs pull it out right at the end on their home field. Ole Miss falls to 10-2. Mississippi State finishes 6-6 and makes a bowl, and then Lane Kiffin leaves, which that would be unfortunate. But and then Ole Miss does not make the playoff either, because here's the thing too: they should make the playoff.
No, they will miss. They'll miss the playoffs if they lose this game. They're out.
That's what I'm saying, and it's unfortunate because like you see they keep dropping in the college football playoff rankings. And listen, I'm not one of those people that wants to see them drop out of the rankings. I definitely want to see them lose this game in the Egg Bowl, but I'm not trying to see them drop out of the college football playoff, because I think it'd be cool to see a Mississippi team in the playoff at the end of the season. That'd be pretty cool. But okay, but Blake, here's a question. If Mississippi State beats Ole Miss but Lane Kiffin stays at Ole Miss, does Ole Miss stay in the playoff? Do they grab a 10 or 11 spot?
No, they would have to be top 10. So no.
Oh, you have to be top 10? I thought there's just one spot
No,
for a group of
no,
five.
because the 11th spot is going to be the ACC champion, which could be a team outside the top 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because what if Georgia Tech loses to Georgia and then wins the ACC championship game? They're not going to be in the top 12.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So they would get at the 11th spot, and then the mid-major champion, Tulane,
Yeah.
whoever the highest, North Texas, whoever it's going to be, they would be 12.
Yeah.
So Ole Miss has to finish in the top 10, and because they're 7, they're not gonna be in the top 10 if they lose to Mississippi State, whether Lane Kiffin's there or not.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Right?
Yeah, so,
Right. When you start doing the
yeah.
math, because that means because Notre Dame and Alabama would then pass them, right? So that would put them
For sure.
at 10, Well, do you pass? Do you put BYU, who has one loss to Texas Tech, above them? And Texas Tech is a 5 seed. I mean,
Yeah.
it's you probably. I mean, look, whether I think Ole Miss is a better team or not, it's not going to matter at that moment.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's a must win for them.
Because here's the
And
thing, Ole Miss is going to finish in the top 12. If they lose, they'll probably be number 12, but that will not slide them into the actual bracket.
yeah, this is the perfect Egg Bowl scenario, Blake. You got a 10-1 team with a must win to get into the college football playoff, and you got a
And then
five
another
and
team trying to
six
get a bowl
team
game, and then another
trying to
team
get a
trying to
bowl
get a bowl
game.
game.
Oh, this is awesome.
It's good.
This
I
is
mean,
awesome.
it's the most hyped up. It's the most hyped up Egg Bowl
In a
of.
while.
I mean, I don't know if I want to say all time. It's probably not all time, but it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, 2014 was a pretty big one, and that was pretty painful. Where
Yeah,
Ole Miss
yeah.
dropped
2014 was a
Mississippi
big.
State out of the playoff. Yeah, that was rough.
Yes.
So yeah. But no, it should be fun. Should be fun to watch. You got Ole Miss, I got Mississippi State. I don't think anybody's real surprised about those picks. But I'm telling you,
No.
I can see This is the kind of game I can see Mississippi. I don't see Mississippi State coming out flat though, Blake. I really don't. I mean, they might lose the game, but I don't see them coming out flat because that's not really.
No, they won't.
Yeah.
No, they won't come out flat. No.
Yeah.
No, they're going to compete. They're going to compete this game.
Yeah. All right, well, folks, look, we appreciate you joining us right here for the Magnolia Shine podcast. We got some, it's a big football this week. We got Friday, North and South State
It's all on
championship
Friday.
games.
It's all on Friday.
It's all on Friday because the Egg Bowl's on Friday too. But hey, what's good is that the Egg Bowl's earlier in the day, so you can catch it all.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't know if that was. I'm sure that was not kept in mind, but I'm glad it was not at night because then it's like, all right, man, everything's at once. It's a little overload there. So it's good we got it earlier in the day, but it should be a good time. But happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Hit that subscribe button to the Magnolia Shine podcast. The one and only Blake Levine, alongside myself, Trellis Williams, and until next week, we out.